She has worked with Hollywood legends, Brando, Pacino, De Niro, Broderick, Downey. She has starred in classic comedies and dramas, Academy Award and Golden Globe winners. This hardworking actress and mother is now starring as Nancy Reagan in the new movie, Reagan. Penelope Ann Miller sat down with me in L.A. for a wide-ranging and revealing interview.
He will do it.
Penelope, this is not your first time playing a First Lady, which surprised me.
You've done your homework.
In 2013, you played Mary Todd Lincoln.
Yes. And there's some parallels there.
That's what I was going to ask you. What parallels did you see and what did you learn from Mary Todd that you carried into the Nancy Reagan experience?
Oh, reading about Mary Todd Lincoln was so fascinating. I love history anyway, so, and delving into someone's life, especially at that time, and you know, their love story as well, and she, very similarly to Nancy Reagan, was kind of vilified by the press. Everyone loved Lincoln, they loved Abe, like they loved Reagan, but somehow the First Lady
got trashed.
They called Nancy, I think at one point, the Dragon Lady.
Yeah.
So Mary Todd also redecorated the White House because when she moved in, it was quite shabby and she thought it was the people's house, as did Nancy. I think she felt like when we're welcoming people and this is the people's home, it should look up to par.
And they were both well-known and well-regarded hostesses.
Loved to entertain.
Which people don't think about Mary Todd Lincoln.
Mary Todd so much. She loved having parties. She loved having people. She's the one who really opened up the White House to the public and had public viewings of the various rooms, and she was very proud of that. She also, like Nancy, loved fashion. She was also vilified for that.
That's right.
She would have dresses made from France and silks brought in and had a dressmaker. And because she wanted to dress well, as she was the First Lady, she didn't want to look peasant-like.
Yes.
She wanted to dress finely, and so did Nancy.
You obviously were drawn to this character. I mean, Nancy Reagan isn't just a character. This is a little bit, you really dove deeply into your research for this.
Well, first of all, when you're playing a real person who lived, you really feel, no matter what your opinion is of the person, I feel that I owe it to their legacy to try and be as authentic as I possibly could be to that person. In doing so, I do an enormous amount of research. As I did for Nancy, I felt, oh my gosh, she's iconic. People know who she is. People remember. People now still have known her. I know you met her. I met her when I was a little girl. But
what did you think I was, an old man when
No.
I met her? I mean, what do you mean? I was 40 when I met her. Okay. Go ahead.
We're probably the same age.
Thanks a lot.
No.
Thanks for getting the age dig in.
Sorry.
Penelope.
I just mean maybe you met her at a different time.
Oh, yeah.
I met her when she was still governess.
Okay.
Or whatever. The First
you
Lady,
were
the
living.
governor. Yeah, I was.
It's you.
I'm running for governor, and I would like your vote.
I forgot your name.
Do his initials help or are?
Honey, Roy Rogers is here. And he's running for governor.
There's nothing a retired governor can do about the Soviets, but a president.
Now, he can do a thing or two.
Okay, I want to talk about Nancy in a minute, but I want to talk about you and this incredible career for a second. When did you get the bug? When did you know? I know your father, Mark Miller, was an actor.
Yes.
That was obviously an inspiration for you. But when did you know this is what you wanted to do?
I was in elementary school. Well, even before that, my older sister and I, we were 18 months apart, we would perform shows and plays for our parents when they were having parties.
Oh my God.
And so we would put on skits, and we had another friend who was Dabney Coleman's daughter, who was a good friend of ours who's since passed, bless his heart. Such a talent, and we would put on shows and make up plays. And in fact, we even built a stage in our backyard. We found logs and we found planks, and anyone from the neighborhood who wanted to come see us, we were We thought we were hysterical. We had a singing nun show before Sister Act.
Wow.
Yes, we did crazy. We did murder mystery, like things on
like
the tape
Clue.
recorder.
Wow.
With the shoes, like we do that.
Your own Foley?
We had our own thing and our own
Wow.
radio shows. And Kelly was a really great musician and played the guitar and sang and everything like that. So, and both her sister and brother, Quincy and Randy, are also singers, Coleman. But so that was early. And then, of course, in elementary school, I was in a like bicentennial play, and I played a redback, and that was really interesting. And then in junior high, which now is called middle school,
Yes.
I was in a lot of the school plays. I did Man Who Came to Dinner, and I did Ionesco. I mean, we did all these obscure plays, but I was voted actress.
Did your dad have any advice for you, any guidance at the time?
I was only, I think, till later when I really started to pursue it, and I was not doing so good in my 1 year of college. And he said, what are you doing with your life? And I said, I don't know. He goes, well, what do you want to do? I said, well, I want to act. He said, well, then why are you here? Because I was at a school that didn't even have a drama production, theater program. So I then decided to move to New York, and then studied acting. And instead of going to a college that had a theater department, I just went straight for
To Uta Hagen.
to Herbert Berghoff.
Well, that was the studio.
Yeah,
you
but
studied with Uta.
I studied with Herbert.
Oh, you didn't study
I didn't
with
get
Uta?
into Uta's class.
I studied with Uta.
You did? Well, they didn't let me in her class. I didn't get past the panel.
Really?
So that was a kick in the pants, let me tell you. I almost thought, like, maybe I'm bad.
Did you
Maybe I
learn
should
anything
quit.
there at all?
It was a really interesting, I don't know if you want to call it like a wake-up call or lit a fire under me, because it was either I'm going to quit this and I'm really not up to snuff, or I can't do this or something, or I can't deal with rejection, or I'm going to work really hard and become better. I just started really, really working hard and studying and realized I have to take this seriously.
It's a craft.
I can't just rely on just a natural ability or an instinct. It's a craft, like anything, and I want to be better at it, and I want to be good. And so that really changed everything for me. And then things really took off, and then I got a Broadway play, Biloxi Blues.
Yeah, a little Broadway
Yeah,
play opposite
yeah.
Matthew Broderick. How did
Yeah.
that happen?
Well, I heard about an audition. Actually, it went back to the same cast. These casting people were doing. They were replacing Cynthia Nixon in a show, The Real Thing, because she was about to do another play. So I heard about it, and so I called my agent at the time. But anyway, I didn't get the show. But I remember at that audition, I had to do an English accent, and I actually like doing dialects and so on. But I think I just froze, or I felt really stiff, and then I thought, oh, I did terrible, and these casting people will never bring me back. But they brought me back for Biloxi Blues. Wow. And then I got it.
What was it like working with Neil Simon? This was the follow-up to Brighton Beach Memoirs, which is his personal
It was the story of his life,
Yeah.
yeah. And then going to war. And
Yeah, he's in Biloxi in basic training. He meets this darling girl, Daisy.
Daisy Hannigan.
Daisy. He was changing things as you went, right?
Well, that's why they called him the Doc, because he was constantly rewriting, and all during the previews, he was just seeing how the audience would get the laughter, or if they wouldn't, and so he was constantly doctoring his scripts. And but this was one thing that I did learn from him, which is really kind of hard to take away from me now. But I mean, you don't change a comma. You don't change a but or an and. You literally have to follow the script.
No, it teaches you new respect. Neil Simon was so
Precision.
fastidious about the timing.
Timing, yeah.
The timing.
Yeah. It was
Now, I
very
saw that
important.
production, which was an incredible, wonderful, warm,
Yeah.
sweet.
It was lovely. Yeah, it was great. And then I got very lucky because I was one of the, other than Matthew, one other actor from the original cast got to be in the film, and we had to re-audition because it was Mike Nichols directing. So I got very lucky because it was such a big break for me.
Such a memorable, beautiful,
to get
sweet
that,
scene.
to get to do that movie.
I really have to go. It's very nice meeting you, Eugene.
And I saw you in Our Town, which you won, which
we
you
all-
were nominated for.
Nominated for a Tony,
for.
yeah.
But then you do the most bizarre thing. How do you go from a Tony nomination to Pee Wee Herman's fiance?
Big top
How
Pee-wee.
does this happen?
Well, look, I mean, I did Adventures in Babysitting.
Yes, babysitting.
It was Chris Columbus's first film, and it was, I call it my first film because It really was.
Yeah.
But that was a character role, and I auditioned for the Elizabeth Shue role, the lead girl, but they already had Elizabeth in mind. So I said, well, I can play her best friend. And they said, but you look similar to Elizabeth Shue. It's not, we need a contrast. So I said, let me come back in. So I came back in, greased my hair, wore glasses, wore, probably my dad's shirt and big wide sweats, and then thought, okay, I'll play this nerdy, geeky girl. And I got the part.
And you got it.
And I was so happy because I thought, oh, people will know that I can do comedy and I can be a character actor. So when I got Big Top Pee-wee, I like to mix it up. I like diversity when I'm acting. I don't want to only be thought of as one thing or be in one lane. So that was a lot of fun.
What was it like working with him?
Bye, Winnie.
Oh. Will I see you for lunch tomorrow, Pee-wee?
Let me consult my date book. Yes, you will.
He was lovely. I was at his memorial recently too, and always got the Christmas cards, the really, really funny Christmas cards. He would check in with me from time to time. I was honored and got a Career Achievement Award at the Sarasota Film Festival, and he's from there. And so he lived there, and he showed up, surprised me. Oh my God. And he was kind of a Menschy person. He just was a really dear person.
I went back and I watched a lot of your films over the last week.
Sorry.
No, they've been wonderful, and it's you know what it made. I'm watching Awakenings, and that beautiful scene with Robert De Niro where you dance.
Yeah.
With him. And it made me sit back and think, what heart these movies had in the 80s and the 90s. Do we still have that?
I feel we have. I feel that we need to kind of get back to love stories and comedies and just even stories like, even if they're not funny, but they're real or heartwarming or have a meaning or a lesson or something. I mean, it's like movies like, I don't know, Terms of Endearment or, Even the Way We Were, or, even Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, even though there's some character-driven movie where there's stories and there's relationships and you see them evolve and go through so many different levels and you care. I feel like these movies are sort of an assault to our senses. Yeah. There's so much of these either action-oriented films and all these special effects, or they're very, very dark stories that are so disturbing. And television is like that too. I just feel sorry for our kids. I just feel like it's no wonder they have so much anxiety because they see so much horror.
Horror, in the true sense.
And our real world is a little bit scary right now.
Yeah. Let's talk for a second about a movie that's really not about bloodshed, but promised some, but didn't deliver. The Freshman, which is such a sweet film. Well, you played Marlon Brando's daughter, the mafia princess.
Oh, I didn't know that he had a daughter, only.
He does. I'm her. Come on in.
First of all, you were the last person I would ever cast as a mafia princess.
Well, and here's the funny thing about that is that when I got cast in that, I mean, obviously I'd worked with Matthew before, so that was nice because it showed we already had chemistry. We'd worked twice before. We'd done the play, the Broadway play Biloxi, we'd done the movie. And so when they were casting The Freshman, I was doing Our Town on Broadway, which she is very waspy character. So how I could play this Italian mafia princess is kind of a stretch. But the producers and the director had all come see the show, including Matthew. So because I wore a wig in Our Town, when I came in to do a reading with Matthew, I put a dark rinse in my hair. And I came in wearing this leather skirt with this off-the-shoulder dress, and I came in all sassy, and I was sort of talking like this, and doing that whole thing that Marissa Tomei does very well.
Right.
But who would have thought, right?
Wow.
And I did, and I was so excited when I got that because that, once again, was not a typical role that you would cast me in, so I appreciate you saying that. But I did have to win it, and luckily it worked out.
What was it like working with him?
To take this opportunity, totally legitimate work for $1,000 a week.
Oh, I don't see how I could say no.
I want to hear yes.
can be very temperamental. What did you learn from him aside from the earpiece etiquette, which I know somebody who was on that film who said there were times where he would start ordering lunch in the middle of your scene.
Or he'd be like, stop saying that, and I'd be like, I'm not saying anything. He goes, no, I'm talking to Caroline. You know, you're like, oh, I'm
sorry.
Got it. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, you do that. Go ahead. But I thought he was charming, is all get out. Like, he took to me, which was lovely, and we had a really, really wonderful rapport, luckily, since I was playing his daughter. And I'm friends with his daughter, Rebecca Brando, and so we share great stories.
Just a cold and lonely, lovely word of ours.
I'll go have Vic.
Well, it's all over now. I can go back to Vermont.
But I found him very different than what one would expect, because he was known to be reclusive. Not that he wasn't, but you kind of think of this brooding, because of the roles he played, this sort of brooding actor who was kind of maybe could have been a curmudgeon or grumpy or didn't want to talk to anyone. And in fact, I found him incredibly funny and charming and engaging. And yes, and he loved the crew and he loved the cast, and he just didn't love all the pomp and circumstance of like the whole Hollywood world. But he did appreciate actors, and you really felt that. One night we were sitting at Orso's in Toronto where we were filming, and we felt pellets coming at our neck, and we looked over and there's Marlon throwing little bread balls at me and Matthew and Bruno, who were having dinner at Orso's, and he's sitting with the grips. He's over here having dinner with the grips. And he threw our wrap party because TriStar said they didn't have enough money for the wrap party. And he said, no, the wrap party is not for us actors, it's for the crew. And he paid for it, and he made it black tie.
He said you reminded him of Myrna Loy.
He did.
Why do you think he said that?
Well, my hair was dark then, so maybe there was a look. I don't know. I was so flattered because I love Myrna Loy. Like, I read her autobiography as well. I thought she was so great and funny.
You do have that classic look. You look like you're from another era.
I feel like I'm from another era.
Why do you
I wish
say that?
I was from another era. When I was very young, I was very drawn to old movies. Like, I watched I wanted to stay home from school and be sick, I'd pretend. And then I would watch, because those days they would play the old movies on TV. And so I'd watch all these movies with Carol Lombard and Barbara Stanwyck and Myrna Loy and Katharine Hepburn and, oh my gosh, Jean Arthur.
Right.
I just loved these women because they were funny and witty and yet elegant.
Right.
And,
Style. They had style and class.
sass, and they were smart, and they were, and they were just, I loved those movies, and I just wished I could be just transported into that world.
Tell me about Carlito's Way. What was the best and worst part of that movie? Of course, with Al Pacino, incredible film, Brian De Palma, right?
Brian De Palma directing, Sean Penn, who was unrecognizable. I remember my godfather went to see the movie, and at the end of the movie, he was like, who did Sean Penn play?
Where's Sean Penn?
I said, he was the lawyer.
With the hair.
Who looked like Alan Dershowitz. And I was like, and he permed his hair, and he did a receding hairline, and he talked funny, and he was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was another amazing experience, and I, of course, had to win that over as well. And in fact, when I first auditioned, I auditioned for Brian De Palma and Marty Bregman, the producer. I felt I did good on the audition, and they said the feedback was that I did well, but that I wasn't, I don't know what they said. They said maybe I was too much of like a good girl to play this sort of the stripper dancer, and it just wasn't quite right. However, lucky for me, Al Pacino had recently seen me in Other People's Money, heard I'd gone in and read, and said, well, I want to read with her. Which all I thought in the back of my head was, even before I knew any of this, I thought, if I could just read with Al, like, I just feel like we'd have chemistry. Like, I feel like it'd work, like something would happen. And I got the call that I didn't get a call back to read with Al, and then suddenly, like, that night or the next day or something, saying, you're coming in tomorrow to read with Al. And Al told me this as well. But I was so grateful to him, because then once I read with him, then it just all changed.
Because you're bullshitting me! All your dog is bullshit,
You're not bullshitting me!
Tell me how you broke the ice with Johnny.
So when he went to introduce me, as he's introducing me, he said, so welcome, Penelope Ann Miller.
Penelope Ann Miller.
So everyone's like, yeah. I'm like, great. Now people will call me from now on Penelope.
Penelope.
So he said, he said, oh, I'm sorry, I think I mangled your name. I said, that's no problem, Johan. We're all good. And then he started laughing.
He loved it.
And that was it.
I don't know why I would say that. Penelope is it?
Penelope, yeah.
Penelope, it's never been Penelope, has it? Until I did it.
Until you did it, yeah.
Then you do The Artist. And The Artist is a movie everybody in Hollywood turned down because it's a black and white silent movie.
Definitely.
But my guess is you probably took the project because you had already done a silent movie in Chaplin.
You are so smart,
Tell people
Raymond.
about that.
How do you know things?
I dig.
You know. You do your homework. This is true. Well, first of all, I love old movies.
Yeah.
I've watched silent films before, as much as people probably nowadays just don't have the patience for it, but the appreciation, I should say. But I had done the movie Chaplin with Robert Downey Jr., and I played Edna Purviance, who was one of the actresses in his films, and we did like the movie within the movie.
Within the movie, yeah.
And so I had a little bit of silent movie film acting experience, and so it wasn't as daunting as it would be for some, I guess, other artists who would come in and think like, how do you perform in a silent film
without your voice?
And a lot of that was actually improvised. The script was it was more cinematic, the script, and it was sort of written out, sort of what would happen. But it was really an amazing experience, and I think no one expected it to do as well as it did and win 5 Academy Awards and win many others as well. And here's what's so funny is my agent calls me and he says, and they're doing this black and white film about the golden age of Hollywood. Well, I was like, I'm in. Golden age of Hollywood, that's me.
Sign me up.
I want to be in that life. I want to know what that feels like. So to me, I was so excited to get the opportunity. And then luckily, Michelle, the director, had seen Chaplin and my other work, and I didn't have to audition.
Well, it's pure cinema. I mean, it's pure cinema.
Because it's your facial reactions, they almost have to be a little, you don't want it overly exaggerated, but you also don't want to be too...
Underplay them.
It was just that fine line, and the way he filmed that movie was so stunning. And he would play this operatic music, and because of course you don't hear it when you're watching the movie. But of course he had an incredible score. So we would have these moods. It would put us in moods, and anyway, it was a great experience.
It's a beautiful film. Yeah. I mean, it holds up.
And I think a lot of people were apprehensive, but I think once word got out, they were like, well, I guess I got to see it.
See this.
And then after they saw it, they forget that it's silent.
Well, this is why Hitchcock, I think, is one of the greatest directors. He did all those silent movies before he did his talkies.
Yeah,
and people forget that.
So true.
And he redid a lot of them. So when you look at the two, you realize they're not all that different, because he understood the cinematic image, and he could crystallize the power of that in those performances, and he was very deliberate about how he chose to shoot things. You see all of that, and that's what I thought as I watched that movie again.
Well, it was a lot about visual and a lot about what's not said. It's happening in the moments, and that's very interesting that you point that out, because my older daughter, who's 23 and an aspiring actress, she came to the Marlon Brando event when they screened The Godfather 1, and she'd never seen it. But to see it in an audience like that was just phenomenal, because people would laugh in places that you didn't expect, and people were so, I mean, it was just like you could hear a pin drop in places, and it was not because it's a comedy, because it isn't, but people would laugh at the characters and just the nuances, and you know what, one of the things my daughter told me is, she says, you know, they don't make movies like this anymore because they let moments happen. They let a scene breathe. And everything is so quick, and people are so worried about people's attention spans that they don't allow for that. They don't give them the grace to have real moments like they do in real life.
I'm glad you mentioned your daughter. You took a hiatus for a bit. You went off to be a mom. You had 2 daughters.
A little far apart, though.
A little far apart, I know, but
8.5 years.
Tell me about that experience and how it changed. I mean, obviously, parenthood, being a mother or father, changes all of us.
Yeah.
How did it change you as a person? How did it change your work?
Well, my priorities changed a lot. When you have children, you realize realize, that you realize that there's something more important than yourself. And what I'm interested in, what I care about, and what matters are these beings that we've brought into the world, and we're responsible for them. And so I wanted to have those moments with my children. I didn't want to miss out. And even to this day, and my manager will attest to that, I really pick and choose what I work on, because I don't want to be away from my family. Even though I have a 23-year-old, I do have a 15-year-old, but I like being a mom, and I like being a wife, and I like to travel, and I don't want to constantly be just working all the time.
Tell me about Nancy Reagan and how this role came into your orbit.
Sean McNamara, the director, and I had worked together, and I'd heard from somebody that this movie was being made, and that I think it had been trying to get made for a long time. I've been hearing about it for a while, and then when I heard Sean was directing it, then I think I heard Dennis was attached, and I called my manager and said, call Sean, because I think this movie is happening now.
But you play her from her 20s to her 70s. That had to be a little daunting for you.
First of all, the aging is one thing. Just playing Nancy Reagan is a whole other daunting task. And I was definitely scared to play her, because I know everyone's going to compare the real life Nancy to myself. So I thought, can I do this? Am I up to the task? And I wanted the challenge, and I thought I just have to work my booty off and do my research.
This isn't about politics anymore. This is about you. Everything is at stake. One more headline, one more star witness, one more arrest, and they will do it.
I have cooperated with them. I appointed a special prosecutor. I've turned over every document I have. What would you have me do?
I want you to fight, or this is all over.
I think what's really important when you play a real life person, obviously there was no footage of Mary Todd Lincoln, but I think it's more that you want to capture an essence. You want to feel that you may not look exactly like her, you may not talk or sound exactly like her, you may not have every feature, but I think if you capture the essence of that person and understand who that person is internally, I think something happens externally.
Yeah, I have to say, your performance at times is spooky. It's like you're looking at
That's
her.
a good thing.
No. I mean, there are moments.
I scared you.
No. You didn't scare me. Your performance, there were moments particularly, and it's at both poles. When she's young and meets him early on, it's like, oh my gosh.
She was giddy.
This is scarily exactly like Nancy Reagan. And then later in the movie.
More of the stoic.
Yes,
yeah.
you would turn a certain way, and I'm like, wow. How did you prepare for this?
Well, I read a lot of books. I read, 8 or 10 or something. I was sort of counting because I read a lot of books on her. I read her, which I'm going to pull it out.
The Bible.
This was my Bible. So you can see it's been dog-eared and highlights everywhere. And well-loved book. Yeah. And of course it says, my turn, which I think is really funny because she took it from, I would have done that. No. I said, I'm going to write an autobiography. It's my turn, damn it. So it's her turn to speak up. So
what did you learn from that you didn't learn from the script or the bullet points of the life?
Well, there was a lot of stuff that we added into the role. Luckily, they were very collaborative with me, the writer.
So you asked for things to be added?
Yes, I talked to Howie, our great writer, and Sean, our director, and I really thought that there were certain things that were missing from the script that would be great to be added, because there was no Reagan without Nancy.
No, they really weren't.
Or no Ronnie without Nancy.
Yeah, they were a double set.
They were literally, yeah. And even her son, Ronnie, as much as maybe there's controversy there, he says, my dad wouldn't have been president or even governor if it wasn't for my mom. So she was a very important part of his story, and the movie is his story, but she's a huge part of it. Yeah. And so there was just so many interesting, great things that I thought like you say, nuances to the relationship. And I think people want to see what they can't see. They can go on YouTube and watch his speeches, or they might have remembered him in politics. Those are the things people already know. What I think and what makes me want to go see a movie about somebody is what don't I know? But I read a ton of books. I also interviewed Sheila Tate, who was her press secretary. I interviewed several people. I did a lot of interviews. I did a lot of watching her footage, her films, documentaries. But there was just things that I think she was misunderstood. And I think she thinks so too.
Yeah.
And so hearing her story and hearing the love story, and I had no idea. He wrote her a poem like almost every day, and she published a book called I Love You, Ronnie. Of course, these are all the poems that I like.
I see all your notes.
So she would like find a little love note, on her pillow, or maybe under her teacup, or, in her little office.
And what did this tell you about the relationship that you didn't know?
Was that they really, honestly, like completely adored each other, and that he was so appreciative of her on so many levels, and he wanted her to know that. And here's why. He was the kind of man who believed in the way he was brought up, et cetera, and that you only marry once, and then that's for a lifetime. And he had a very surprising and very painful divorce from Jane Wyman, who was his first wife. And I think he was so broken, and she talks about it, he was so broken from that breakup and didn't expect it and was so hurt that I think it was very difficult for him to open up to somebody else again. Nancy, on the other hand, had other ideas in mind. And she was a smitten kitten. She even when he was SAG president, she would go and watch his.
She was kind of fangirling.
She was fangirling. Yeah. So that's why in the scene you see in the movie when she gets to meet him for the first time. I mean, she is giddy as all get up and so excited. So she was definitely, I wouldn't say pursuing him, but she also was patient with him. They were dating, and he was kind of known to be a little bit of a womanizer at the time. He was dating lots of women, and she hung in there. And she didn't care about being an actress. She didn't care about fame and fortune, very differently than Jane Wyman. She wanted to be a wife and a mom. And he just thought, I have it in this, can I show you this?
Sure.
So there's this great book that I have as well.
I love that you have the whole Reagan library that you
brought. I brought you my Reagan library.
Yeah.
I'm going to need my glasses now. But he says, quote unquote, if Nancy hadn't come along when she did, I would have lost my soul. And then Michael Deaver, who was in his cabinet, says, it's the most real love I've ever seen. What you see there is right. It is true. Reagan said once that his life began when he met Nancy, and I believe that to be true.
Ronnie, remember when we met? You told me that you wanted to make a difference in this world. You know what you have to do.
I know all of this must have given you the inner landscape of this woman and this character, and where she was at the different moments of the life, and it's so cool that you have it all in front of you. How did you perfect, though, the externals? The Nancy gaze, which you capture in an you have this look in the movie.
She always looked up at him. Like every picture you see with him, she's like, even at the inauguration.
Total devotion.
That's my man.
Yeah. Oh, no. It's
he's mine.
I mean, I've never seen a
so
wife look at a husband that way.
The Nancy gaze. It was called the Nancy gaze. And she was criticized for it. I mean.
But how did you replicate it? How did you work on it?
I guess just looking at the photographs and seeing the videos and the interviews and just seeing the way she looked at him, I just tried to kind of capture, like I said, the essence of what she must have felt like gazing up at her husband, who she was madly in love with.
I was so shocked watching it because the woman you play as Nancy Reagan, and you so embody her, and there is a depth to the performance. And I know, look, you're moving fleetly through Reagan's life. It's hard to layer that depth in a performance when you're moving so quickly, and it does move quickly. I mean, you cover the whole life here.
We try to.
I had just finished watching Dahmer before I watched you
That's
here.
Very different character.
Talk about polar opposites.
Yeah.
I mean, you played Jeffrey Dahmer's mother. You were nominated for a slew of awards. That moment, again, it's such a nuanced performance. You feel her pain, you feel her love, her guilt over this boy. And you really did bring all of that to...
One can only imagine what it would be like to be a mother of a boy who's committing these, horrendous, unspeakable crimes. But to me, what's fascinating is why was this boy like this? And what did the mother, what was her story like, and what affected her? But she was a hurt woman, and it's interesting because there's that expression, hurt people. And even the scene when she's leaving her boy, she's hurting him deeply. I mean, she's abandoning her son, but it's hurt people.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened, and I'm sure she had a ton of guilt.
Do you like playing these real people? Is that
these complicated?
Well, they're
very complicated.
Complicated people with public faces and
Nancy was a complicated
faces,
woman
yes.
too, and she, as I said, I think she felt that she was really misunderstood because there were so many layers to her. She was actually much funnier than anyone would know. She really had a great sense of humor. She giggled and laughed a lot, and yet, though people say when she was performing her role as the First Lady, even Sheila Tate says when she met her, she said she came off very sort of cool and reserved, and there wasn't that sort of huggy, warmy feeling.
Right.
She eventually got there with Sheila Tate. They became very close, and she admires her greatly. And she talks about how her 8 years in the White House, she cried a lot by herself. And just to me, that's so sad. It just makes me sad to think that here's a woman who didn't build her husband into what he was, but certainly, supported him and made him feel that he was capable.
Tell me what you inserted into the movie or asked to be inserted into the movie.
Well, the love story was very crucial. Seeing that love story was, I think, very, very important because that's the human side of Reagan. That's the vulnerable side. That's the side people didn't always see. And seeing her influence in certain areas. And not that she, there's been rumor and talk that she was really the woman behind the throne, or so to speak, or she was really the powerful one, the mastermind, which wasn't the case because he said she did not create my policies. I mean, but her opinion mattered, and he did ask her. And a lot of people that worked for him or were in his cabinet would go to Nancy and say, "Talk to Reagan. Will you please have a word with Reagan about this?" Even with the Iran-Contra and all of that. And so, but he had a mind of his own too. But he did respect how she felt, and she was very. I mean, oh my gosh. She was like a hawk. She watched everybody. So I think she was fiercely protective of him. I know so, not that I feel that. And she had his back. And it's sometimes people say that, they were each other's true best friends, and maybe Nancy was his really only real friend. And he knew that. And I think he trusted her so implicitly.
I love the ending of this movie, which I don't want to ruin for people. But you really see the whole thing comes together. You see their relationship, you see her tenderness toward him, even in his frailty as he began to go down that last path, the final journey.
The last ride.
The last journey of his life.
Yeah.
Tell me what it was like when you saw Dennis the first time in the role. What surprised you most?
He was great with getting his speech down. Well, Nancy. And then, of course, we added the Nancy pants, which was so funny because you said that to me the other day.
And that was was that an addition that you all added?
It was an addition. And at first they're like, "No, that's so corny." Well, that's how they talk to each other.
Yeah.
That's how they talk to each other, which is so cute. He had these
Ronnie and Nancy pants.
They had these terms of endearment, and I mentioned that movie.
Yeah.
But they did, and they. Here's another thing that I think people don't realize either, that I found really fascinating, is that they lived, most people wouldn't realize, but a very modest life. I mean, when they were, before he was governor and when he was just SAG president and acting, they lived in a very modest home in the Palisades. But even you look at that ranch that he got, which Rancho de Cielo. I mean, I think it's maybe 1,500 square feet.
Not even.
I mean, 2 bedrooms. Yeah. Their bedroom is, she said originally they expanded a little bit. It was so small, she actually had to get up on her knees to make the bed, to just fold the sheets under. But they have 2 twin beds that are attached to each other by these, wrought iron, back.
Headboards.
I mean, nothing's changed. You go to that ranch and it's amazing, but it's teeny. That was his favorite place in the world. He built every fence on the property. He loved to work. He loved to work with his hands. He loved horses, as you know. Of course, so she learned how to ride because he loved it. And then later, after the presidency, they got another modest home. It was in Bel Air, but it was 3 bedrooms, and it was a 1-story house. It wasn't some extravagant, like, mansion or anything like that. And they never really had a lot of money. But yeah, they didn't. They did have wealthy friends. Yeah. And I think as a result, and because of the designer clothes she wore, they thought they lived this sort of lavish lifestyle. But they really didn't.
No.
They were very modest people.
What do you want people to take from this movie that you've poured so much of your insight and perception and craft into? What do you want them to take from this portrait of the Reagans? Because it really is, what jumped out at me was really, it's both of them.
They really were a unit, and there would have been no Ronnie Reagan without Nancy. And but that's, I mean, the takeaway I think is just, I think what I'd love people to discover is really what I'm talking about, is the human side of the story, and who were these people and what made them become who they became. And yes, they're very famous and iconic, but sort of what created that? And that's what I want people to see, is who are these human beings? And that's interesting to me. So I just I'm hopeful that people will want to see the movie, no matter what political side of the fence you're on. Will be interested in just understanding and knowing and learning, and maybe hopefully being entertained and moved by the story of these 2 well-known people.
And there's this vein of faith that runs through the movie that I sort of missed in all the other documentaries and even the books.
Yeah, that's true.
Where the mother gives him that book.
Yeah, and it was her Bible that when he got inaugurated. Yeah. So he grew up in a very religious household. He also had an alcoholic father. I didn't know that. Yeah. But I think that there was, like you mentioned, there was the faith of his belief system. Yeah. And
the minister comes over with Pat Boone and says,
that happened.
You're going to be president of the United States.
Yes.
And Nancy is kind of, because she didn't have a deep faith life.
No, she didn't.
She didn't.
She was more spiritual, as you know. But one of the things of a woman such as Nancy, who didn't necessarily have a religious upbringing necessarily, I think she appreciated that about Ronnie Reagan. But one thing that I did read in the book, when she would go to bed at night, she said there was a poem that was given to her by a friend of hers that she would read before going to bed. And it goes like this. I dreamed I was walking along the beach with the Lord, and across the sky flashed scenes from my life. For each scene, I noticed 2 sets of footprints in the sand. One belonged to me and the other to the Lord. When the last scene of my life flashed before us, I looked back at the footprints in the sand. I noticed that many times along the path of my life, there was only 1 set of footprints. I also noticed that it happened at the very lowest and the saddest times of my life. I questioned the Lord about it. Lord, you said that once I decided to follow you, you would walk with me all the way. But I've noticed that during the most troublesome times of my life, there's only 1 set of footprints. I don't understand why in times when I needed you most, you would leave. The Lord replied, my precious child, I would never leave you during your times of trial and suffering. When you see only 1 set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. And it's by an unknown writer.
Why do you think she read that every night?
I think so that she wouldn't feel alone. And I think that she really wanted to believe that God was with her and that she was loved.
Yeah.
She was loved in spite of maybe not being appreciated by the masses at certain times. That gave her strength, I think, as well as the love that Ronnie gave her.
It's a beautiful portrayal. I mean, I was, having seen you in so many other guises, this one was, I have to tell you, it shocked me at moments because you were so like her. And it's the intangibles when you weren't talking, which break through in the performance, where you really capture her with empathy and yet her strength. You feel all of that. I wanted more Nancy Reagan, to be honest. I'm just saying. But
that'll be the sequel.
There you go. The sequel, the Nancy story.
The Nancy story.
And you know, you know this more than anybody. the way she protected him after he left public life is as incredible as anything they did together during his acting public life.
I mean, I can't imagine the pain that she must have felt losing her husband in that way with Alzheimer's. And she became very devoted to that cause as well.
Yeah.
But she was always there by his side and was going to carry him as well. And so, but seeing that kind of devotion, and I love that, and I appreciate everything you said, and I worked really hard, and it was a very daunting task, and I just hope I did justice to her legacy, Nancy. I hope you appreciate it. I do feel like I owe her that.
Yeah.
I do.
I think you did it. I think you did it. It's
Thank you.
beautifully done.
Thank you.
Penelope Ann Miller, thank you for being here.
Okay, Romano.
Great to see you. Thank you.